that shadow in the footage, it was probably me. I'm the rumor, I'm the doubt, I'm the lie. But you wouldn't stand near me.
Oh, hi, it's Posterity. Come on in.
Hi, I'm Taylor Jessen, archivist for the Firesign Theater, and right now I'm scrambling to digitize as much as I possibly can of the Firesign Theater archive, which I've been sort of maintaining for the last 20-ish years, because the Library of Congress has just agreed to buy it, and it's going to all go away. So I am rescuing things on OpenReel, on DAT, on scripts and documents, and slides, negatives, and oil on AstroTurf painting. Good news is I've captured the oil on AstroTurf painting.
Everything you know is wrong. Misinformation. There's a verse missing out of this song. Misinformation. Everything you know is wrong. Wrong.
So we're going to start by me crying. The giant thing I'm involved in right now is trying to rescue as much of... rescue's the wrong word. Trying to scarp up as much of the Firesign archive as I can. It's all pretty well indexed and it's all in pretty good shape and everything. It's just that it's going to go away all very suddenly, so I gotta get as much of it in the computer as I can so that I can afterwards do things. What are these things, you might ask? Well, let's talk about the things. Every one of these cards is a reissue project that I need to do. There is a ticking time bomb here, and it's I want to get this done while they can still help. We have this huge collection of great posters. They need to be postcards. But then there are more complicated things, like the one that's been killing me, which is the Procter & Bergman audio box set. So that's several hundred open rails, most of which I've got now. Oh, here's a fun one. Well, I'd rather cut my head off than do this. Eat or Be Eaten was, first it was a proto-video game, and then it was a Cinemax special, and then it was an album. But there was a game called Eat or Be Eaten, and it was completely worked out. But we don't have a copy of it. We have all the notes, we have maps that you're supposed to play the game with, we have most of the audio that was on the CD that you were supposed to play.
Cash register, what's it called? Eat or Be Eaten?
Closed. You can't have it dangerous being recalled.
Yeah.
Big bug.
Bugging it.
I'm not afraid of bugs, guys. Hey, I tell you what, I got an idea. I'll bet you 20 against that game, Wimp, that I got a riddle you can't solve.
You go through 4 worlds and you get clues and you have the final sentence, which is the phrase that pays, which you're supposed to solve the game in order to solve. I know the phrase that pays, we just don't have the rest of the game. So yeah, I could drive myself completely crazy reverse engineering that game. Or this one, Danger in Dreamland. Basically the same thing. Another game that they fully scripted and it just never got made. So this is my hell. In '67, instead of having their own TV show, they gave themselves a 10-episode series on KRLA and just did a new play every week. They'd write all the time and they'd do a new play. There's one play, Last Tunnel to Fresno, which we only have a couple of minutes of the audio. It makes you weep. It's so awful.
How about the music while you eat, Commandant? You have a phonograph? No, but we have a full-scale working...
The thing that's happening now is I've just got to grab as much as I can so that I can do all of these things. I was born in '72, so I didn't experience the records firsthand. I found them in college. I grew up listening to a lot of other comedy stuff, and when I went to University of Idaho, there was a free format station, and you could just go up and do a show if you were a student, so I decided to go and play comedy records. And when I went to the QE archive and looked for all the regular stuff, the Python and the Steve Martin and whatever, there was at least this much real estate of just Firesign Theater records. Firesign Theater. Who could that be, I wondered? It wasn't laugh out loud funny. It was basically the kind of motor function comedy that makes you sit and pay attention, which I'd never really experienced before. And a couple years went by and the station got to its 50th anniversary, and about the same time we found a 20-year-old recording of Procter & Bergman at QE.
Tape splicing here.
Excellent student-run videos and everything. It's just terrific.
Hey,
it looks
brand
great,
new.
too.
Owns,
Congratulations,
too.
you guys.
You did a real good job putting in those, and it's Urquharts, too. We can tell it overload or capacitance problems.
This is the best board I've ever seen. This is real
I'm
Moscow
bored already.
lumber.
Well, this portion of the Procter & Bergman Show is brought to you by the Dried Pea and Lentil Institute here in Moscow, and also by Isadora's Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right. All of the big wheels on campus will scarf them up.
I called up Proctor and asked him if he wanted to do an interview, and he said sure. In '97, I moved to L.A., and I looked him up right away. And he was super nice, again, and over a couple of years, I was trying to figure out something that I could do for them. And I think the first thing I did was go to the Pacifica archives because they hadn't indexed all their Firesign stuff yet. So I did that for them. Wind forward 20 years. All you have to do to become an archivist is just glom onto your subject for long enough and try and be nice and useful, and they'll stick with you. Also, I'm a frustrated producer, so I have used them as my sandbox to produce reissues. And it's been fun finding stuff they'd forgotten about or didn't know about at all. I mean, just to go in there and find a 3-inch open reel of 1/4-inch tape, and it's got a recording from maybe 68 or 69 of Firesign, just spitballing ideas for a children's record. Proctor didn't know he had that.
It starts, by the way, with the sound effect of the of a record changer going through the whole click.
Oh, that's excellent.
Click.
Excellent.
Click.
And a needle being put down and us saying, well,
Click.
but actually the record's been playing for 5 seconds.
Right, yeah. Oh, that's a mind
But
blow.
they won't even know. We've got it, gentlemen. We've outdone the goons.
That's why I stay interested in the archive, because it'll come up with surprises like that that are just that just make you smile. This is the potentially dangerous part, where all the tape could fly off. Let's see. It's at 15 IPS. This machine won't play back at 15 IPS. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to listen to it at half speed.
If I had big arms, I'd win.
Austin's in there, Proctor's in there, but I can't tell who's during this voice. When an open reel gets overheated just on one side, the tape shrinks, but only on one side, so that when it goes through across the capstans, it's going at an angle. But more than that, when it gets on the take-up reel, it starts. It doesn't make a circle anymore. It starts trying to make a triangle, and you can't put it back in the box, and you're kind of screwed. You either have to play it. You can't rewind it. You have to take the reel, switch them, and play it back. Run it down again at a slow enough speed. And then you put it in a box and preferably lose it. I like being associated with them because it lets me start conversations with people who I wouldn't otherwise. I'm not someone who knows how to promote stuff. I'm really good at... hang on. This is good. Okay, so this is a non-Firesign example, but it's a really good example of what I like and what I'm good of. Here's a British band, Scaffold, from the late 60s, early 70s, and this album has never been reissued on CD. What I love doing is discovering a group, buying several of their LPs, scanning absolutely everything, going into Photoshop and very carefully taking out all this text, but figuring out what the font is so that I can relay it on top afterwards, cleaning up the image, taking all this out too, cleaning that up, transferring the record, cleaning up the sounds. It sounds absolutely perfect. And then I just put it on my blog and give it away for free. I want to dig stuff up in the past and perfect it. I'm really more into the reissue paradigm. I don't really multitask. I probably could, but I prefer when I'm digitizing something, I need to listen to it and take notes on it at the time I'm doing it, especially with open reels, because if you put an open reel on and you start recording it and you set it and forget it, what you might come back and find out later is that there were splices that bled and they and fucked everything up. And so I try to concentrate on what's happening as I'm doing it. Yeah, doing some archiving. In 2008, I went into one of those boxes there and found this was a canister of film that had not been developed. I sent it to Rocky Mountain Film Lab in Colorado. They had some difficulties. They went through Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And last month, after 9 years, we got it back! And you know what? It's pretty good! Classic tie-dye cloak. I should show you this too. It's for the bit, the Mr. Leonardo's Warehouse of Eternal Art. Move the Louvre
to your own den or patio.
Rugged,
All-weather art. All your favorite subjects are here. Bulls,
panthers, clowns, sad-eyed orphans.
Sad-eyed
Look
orphans.
at these. And then we
Look
pan
at
over.
Panthers eating clowns.
Panthers eating clowns.
And each painting is
signed
by
someone. Sometime in the next 20 years, there's going to be the funniest, most confusing museum exhibit ever made in the United States. And this is going to be part of it. I mean, once I've run down this, I don't feel like I'll be missing anything. I'll have, enjoyed the experience and have a copy of virtually everything. But there's so much that people don't know, and a lot of it is hidden in here. This took me 2 weeks to go through and scan everything that was in here. What's great, though, is that by scanning this for the first time, by going through this whole thing, I have put back together photos that belong together and figured out things where they were. They were doing something interesting here. Most of what you see here is going to go, but my job doesn't stop just because the archive isn't here anymore. So people send me physical objects. I don't know if they're going to then go to the Library of Congress later. So I don't know if the archive is going to slowly grow again or not. Now, all of those original air checks of the Magic Mushroom shows existed at some point. Some engineer went home with them. So either they're gone for good, or they're going to turn up and someone will try and return them to me. Like with the footage of about a week.
We'd like to talk to you for just a minute about what it means to be a member of the Firesign Theater and run the famous comedian school for all you fans out there in the audience.
We all got our start on local television, cable TV in the 30s.
The guy asked us for $105,000 for it because he was charging by the minute, and we wanted 45 minutes worth of stuff. And then it all went to the Library of Congress, and we didn't have to pay $105,000. We paid $450,000, and we got an HD. This, for some reason, is the Cleveland Press getting a syndicate, the TV listings for the Les Crane Show, a show out of Los Angeles, being played in syndication in the Midwest. We can't find a videotape of it, and yet somewhere, maybe in a station somewhere in the United States, somebody kept a copy of it. It's enough to drive me crazy. We haven't found it yet. The random things will continue to happen, I guess.
We're at Public Storage in North Hollywood waiting to load up all of the Firesign's Los Angeles archive into trucks that will take it away from California into a place of safety where it will not be destroyed by the cleansing ultrafire from beyond the deepest reaches of space, which is happening today, of course.
This is kind of a waste of time, isn't it? Whoa, the elevator's gotten older. Slower.
Less funny. Yeah. This is all of Proctor's sound effects here.
Oh no, I forgot to digitize everything.
I hate that. Photo and negs. Oh my god. Oh, look, it's one of my early demo tapes. This was the original mock-up of the TV or Not TV cover. Yes.
Back in the old days, you had to cut it out by hand, huh?
That's right.
To be honest, I think when I've got to the end of this stack of 3x5 cards, that might actually be it. I can't think of anything else that I know about in their archive that deserves a reissue. I mean, there's a lot to do, but it's not bottomless. And when these are done, my aspect as a producer for them has probably stopped. Restoring old tapes, old films, restoring old things, cleaning them up, putting them into a really nice reissue package and moving on is my thing. I just want to dump something nice on the world and then do the next thing.
Hey, it's my turn. Ah! I was flying on